5:32. Everybody will go ahead and silence their mobile devices, please. And, Al, could I get you to lead us in the invocation tonight?
Yes, thank you. Dear Lord, thank you so very much for your many blessings, for all you've done for us, Lord, for your help and your guidance in life, Lord. We can't thank you enough for all you do. Lord, I just praise you for this board. Lord, I pray you just guide and direct their decisions. Lord, I praise you for those who are out at DSS working on the ground, in the trenches, boots in the ground, and their impact in our community. Lord, I pray they'd do it in a manner pleasing to you that would help and would bring hope for our folks in our community that are in need. Lord, I thank you for everything you've done. Lord, each one of us has special requests. Lord, I pray in Jesus' name that you meet those, and thank you for everything. Amen.
Amen. Jeff, would you lead us in the annual word pledge, please?
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 5 tonight on our agenda is our ethics awareness and conflict of interest reminder. If any board member has any conflicts of interest, now would be the time to go ahead and make those noted. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 6. Do we have any additions or changes to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, and we will need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Thank you, Lee. All in favor? Motion carries. All right. Item 8 tonight is the approval of the minutes, and has everybody had time to review the regular and the closed session minutes? If so, then we will need a motion to approve those, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Dale. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff. All in favor? All right, motion carries. All right, Wendy, we're moving right along. Item 9 is the director's update.
Good evening. Once again, just kind of giving our updates, things that are happening at DSS. We do have our MDT meeting this month on the 9th. And our last meeting, just to let you know, our speakers that we had Katie Willett from the YMCA. She came and shared some of the programs that they're doing. And we also had a lady from the SHIP program, which is the state or the seniors health insurance information. So this is our Medicare, all the Medicare plans, I'm sure you know well. But she came and spoke to our MDT team, which was very insightful. And then afterwards, we actually arranged a training, Medicare 101 for all of our Medicaid workers. And then I know also Shannon and her team are meeting with her individually on cases for some of our wards to make sure that we've got our wards on the right plan for them to access the best benefits for them. So it was a very good meeting, a nice connection to make. So very excited about that. And next month, or this month for September, we have Christy Preston from the UNC School of Government that will be attending. And Christy is over the MDT teams for the state. She came and met with us once before when we were launching ours when I first came on board. And she's coming back to meet with us again just to discuss some policy changes and some statute changes around the MDT teams and what that looks like. So she's going to be doing that on the 9th. At 11 o'clock, if anyone would like to join us. We have our law enforcement meeting on the 11th at 3 o'clock. I know last month I shared with you that I was doing the trainings with law enforcement staff. We did do those. Those were held on the 11th and the 13th. So that has been completed, and there was lots of discussion in that meeting. So
Good attendance.
Good progress. Yes, good attendance. Yes, we did have our law enforcement meeting that same week. We had one person to show, but I know they're so busy and they're on different shifts. I know it is what it is. But yes, it was overall pretty good attendance and lots of questions. We kind of dove into some things, the why and that kind of thing. So
Good.
We did. We do have our CCPT meeting. I'm just reminding again on the 9th. at DSS at 3:30. So 2 meetings on the 9th. You can just spend the whole day with us if you want to. Wendy Duncan and I, we usually kind of host those meetings together. Wendy's with the health department, and we met last week kind of discussing some new changes with that as well. You know, they like to continuously change things. So there's some updated changes on the child fatality process. So we will be looking at that when we meet on the 9th as well. Also happening is our disaster plan being updated. So we all know when we had Helene, our disaster plan kind of got thrown out the window. And so we're kind of rehashing that, adding a little bit more information in there, some logistics on actually assigning staff roles and that sort of thing. And we also have a all staff mandatory training on the 19th of this month. And I know John Masters and Andrew are going to be hosting that, and that will be at Bowman Middle School. And we're going to go through the whole thing. We're going to put the tarp down on the floor. We're going to set up cots. We're going to kind of roll, you know, the whole thing and talk about some concerns and issues. So that's happening on the 19th. Also to let you know, we did complete my first CFSR. So this is the Child and Family Services Review. So this is a major federal audit of the child welfare system. So what this is they take a case from the very first intake and they follow it through the entire adoption and look at various things. It's very thorough. They interview the parents, they interview the foster parents, they interview the social workers. It's very thorough. So this is my first time doing that. So we did do that. We had a debrief from that last week. We did very well. We missed one area, and that was due to not being able to file the TPR during Helene. And we weren't given credit for that. So we did very well though, and I'm very proud of my team. So so now at least kind of know what to expect with those when they happen. So, but as a state, the state as a whole is basically failing the CFSR. So one of the things, and yeah, for real, and a lot of that has to do with the adjudication and permanency, getting permanency for our kids quick enough. So part of Mitchell County rolling out a Safe Babies Court. Part of the goal and objective of that is to assure permanency sooner. So hopefully with this new program, we might see some changes with this and it'll roll out statewide. Just to let you know, currently we only have one family in Safe Babies Court, and Yancey County only has 2. So, you know, it's very minimal, but there are other counties rolling this out. So hopefully that will bring some good data and some problem solving, hopefully, for that need across the state. So those are all of my updates for now. And Shanna is with us tonight. I know last month you guys had a lot of questions on facility complaints and APS in general. So I asked her to come tonight, and she's going to review her numbers, and then she's going to kind of give a brief overview and be here for your questions. And then I will complete the rest of the numbers after she's finished, because she's got an event to attend.
So I'm just gonna kind of go through the list here as far as numbers. So in the month of August, we actually had 5 new reports, and it shows 4, but that was one and there was we looked 1. And we screened 3 of those in, and 2 of those were screened out. It shows 0 service intakes, but we actually ended up having 2 of those. One of the screened out reports resulted in a service intake. 2 requests for services. At the end of the month, we had 3 open APS evaluations, and we have 2 open in planning and mobilizing services. We currently have 4 special assistance in-home cases. We have 15 rep payees. We have 16 wards for adults that we provide guardianship services to. We currently have 1 new complaint that is open. And then we have our quarterly monitorings, which is due by the end of September. Which I will be doing before the end of the month. And so, Wendy had kind of asked me to go over, like, the process of when we receive a complaint on a facility. So those can be received in the office, but typically they're received through the state complaint intake line. But if someone calls, I mean, we can do the intake in the office. So they're not ever like screened in or screened out, like we all just automatically take the complaint. So there's three different time frames. Immediate for abuse allegations, for neglect 24 hours, and for any other, it's 2 weeks. That might seem like a long time frame, but I mean, if you have somebody complaining that they don't like the food or that, something of that nature, that's something that we don't have to respond to for 10 business days. So we have 60 days to complete those investigations. And during that time, we're in the facility, we're making observations, we're completing interviews, and we're doing record reviews. It kind of depends on what areas we're looking at. So what we do. At the close of that, we complete an exit interview with the facility, and we complete a report and send it to adult care licensure. If we do know who the complainant is, then we do send a letter to the complainant if they would like that. So that's kind of the process of our facility complaints.
So, whenever, I know that Ms. Norman done in here before with our ombudsman, do you guys work directly like with them or?
We do, I mean, we work with them at times, yes.
Okay, so if they call the state hotline, it's passed off to them? Is that how that would work?
Well, if they were to make a complaint at the state level on the facility, then it would come to us.
Oh, okay.
And we would work that complaint.
Okay.
But if you get a complaint in your office, then you deal directly with the Greens of Mitchell House, correct?
So we don't monitor the greens. That's a skilled nursing facility. So we only, we used to monitor BNL, it was a family care home, but
Okay,
it was shut down. So Mitchell House, it's an assisted living facility.
Sure.
So I mean, if somebody calls in, we do like to direct them to the state complaint line because they have a whole team that is trained on doing that. They assign all the rule numbers, they have a complaint intake number. We don't necessarily have that. I mean, I can create a template for us to use. But, they're more equipped to handle that. Of course, I don't wanna, tell somebody no, so if they do call the office, I will, have somebody take a complaint.
so when you go out and do your quarterly monitoring at a facility, what does that entail?
So the state, directs us quarterly on what we are required to monitor, and it's different each quarter. So like we do physical plant and life safety, where we're looking at, those rural areas to make sure the building's safe and their water temperatures are what they should be and, things of that nature. And then we look at, accounting, like the resident funds accounts to make sure those are being handled correctly. We look at staffing requirements and we look at staffing qualifications. So we have to ensure that they're appropriately staffed per the rules and regulations and that they are receiving the appropriate training. So those are the 4 different areas that we're required to monitor.
Is that training for the staff done on site? Or do they do that individually?
I mean, it just depends. Honestly, it depends on what role they're in. If they're a med tech, they have different training than if they're a personal care assistant or the administrator. So it just depends. I mean, some of it's done on site, and some of it's online training. So it really just depends.
So do you review an employee's records to see if they are qualified?
Yes.
and I'm sure a case, a call of neglect would be handled quicker by your office saying, I don't like the food.
Yes. Well, I mean, our response time would be 24 hours versus like a 2 week time frame.
Good.
On the initiation. But we still have 60 days to complete the evaluation. Or the complaint.
Have you had any allegations, or can you say that the state was brought in because of poor care at one of your facilities?
I mean, the state monitors annually, and if we can be a part of those, we are a part of those. But typically, unless we request them to come in, we handle all the complaints.
Okay.
So there have been times where I have been short-staffed, or we've received several at one time, and I've requested assistance. There are times too that it may be a conflict. So if it's a conflict, we've only had that happen one time, but we conflict that out to another county, and then they work it from there. Honestly, I don't even know. We don't consult with them at all during that time.
Anybody else got any questions? Thank you for your update. It was very thorough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop saying.
Okay, as far as our foster care numbers, we did, end up having to take one kiddo into custody this month. So you'll see a change with that. Our basic foster care is pretty much the same, but that child is in basic foster care at the time. Out of county, we're still at 15. The number of foster care licenses still remains at 11. We still have 27 available foster care beds and yeah, available. We still have our the respite families, which those are very valuable. We still have one of those to do respite in the county. And they actually foster for another county, but they help us out for that respite cases. And we still have the one kinship provider. And then as far as our reports for CPS, we were down just a little bit. But however, you can see that our screening in continues to be pretty same for the, through the months, and part of that is this new system that we're using to screen in reports. I really think it's more consistent, which is good and bad in some ways. And a lot of them is, it's very rare that we're gonna have a 72-hour response. A lot of them are immediate or 24 hours with the new tool we've seen. And then we have still open 14 for the month. And our in-home cases, we have, these are including our assist. We've had 2 for the month. We closed 1, but we're still at 7 for the month. And this is here again, it's good to see that information just because it shows here again the efforts that our staff are putting in. So we don't have to take a child into custody. We're trying to really support the family. But then if we end up having to take them, at least we've showed efforts and we've all done our job to try to prevent that for that family for sure. And then down at the very bottom, you'll see the subsidy. We continue to grow that number. There's 83 being served. And then our work first, that's continued about the same trend. So, any questions for the numbers tonight?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last but not least. Hello, everybody.
Good.
Been well. Hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. Goes fast, doesn't it? I look forward to it. It goes fast. And so here we are. So we're still pretty early in the year to look at any trends that we're seeing for our finances. Our expenses, all programs should be about 16% for the first couple months in. We're at 15. I hope that's a trend to stay below. So fingers crossed and carefulness in place. Our revenues were poking along at 1%, barely anything on the books. However, we do have a July reimbursement hovering out there to post on the 3rd, which is tomorrow, of 180,000. That being said, we all know that the state budget is hovering and nothing's final, and because of that, we're gonna see our revenues really high. What they do is we code against those pots and they're unsure of what they're gonna be. So they give us full reimbursement on those pots, and then they pass the budget hopefully soon and do the math, and then they charge us back. And so we're gonna see that later in the year, our revenues will be lower. And then we hopefully, like every year, we'll catch up and have a great year. Again, fingers crossed and carefulness in place. Last year, I wanted to finalize and present this month to you for how we ended up last year, but we're not there yet. I ran into some things I want to make sure are accurate and that I match with county before we give you a final number on where we ended last year. So with your patience until next month, we'll go over that then. Any questions regarding monies?
So, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead first.
You said that, we're still waiting on the state to pass the budget.
Yes,
So you're working on last year's, what they gave. So in other words, you're still working on what they gave you last year. You're following that budget, or is it?
yes, so they really
Okay.
default to what was the last budget passed and what you code against.
Yes.
So, yeah, so.
And then they'll reimburse you if they.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yeah, we saw that. It seems like the last 3 years that they've been awful slow to pass that budget and they've charged us back. So there may be a month we don't have any revenues at all, or reimbursements come
We
in.
wouldn't have to go through all this trouble for
Yes. I
all
know.
these reimbursements. Yeah, I just want to make sure that, we're still being funded through them.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Then we got this 180,000 is the EFT that comes in, right into the general fund. So that's exceptionally high. The average, usually in a good month, we average around 130. But that, well, we know, and I know from experience that that's unusually high because of the budget not being passed. So as much as I would like to say
Yeah.
it's all ours, it probably is not. So.
Do you have any concerns with like state and federal discussions with like Medicaid, Medicare, anything that is gonna fall on the counties to fund?
No, I think everything's still so iffy that, I mean, there's always concerns they're gonna shortfall us and things are gonna happen. But I think it's still too iffy. We have our ears peeled to every conversation, trying to predict, but again, they usually don't tell us right until they pull a string or whatever happens, they ring the bell and say it's time, so. But part of my role is to always be on the lookout and have concerns all the time that this funding could go away, so when we know for sure, you will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving right along, item 10 is board comments, and you can read any comments.
Thank you. Everything you're doing.
Beth, do you have any board comments?
Good job, guys. Keep up your work. It's tedious and usually you don't receive much credit. But stuff job guys kind of very tough. We were talking about the Greenleaf's doing a thing, breakfast with grandparents. So we've all been invited as commissioners and leadership to go, because there's gonna be some kids out there that don't have a grandparent. So if you find room in your schedule, this next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or, you know, one of your workers, couple of your workers, whatever it may be. Let Taylor Bomar know at Greenlee. And go show up and sit down with a little kid and pat him on the back and love on him. So,
Like,
Just thank y'all for the job. There.
And I was gonna make what everybody else said, yes, thank you. We do have a need for a closed session tonight. And so in that closed session, it will be the board, Alan, the clerk, Linda, Wendy. Just one. Okay, for now, and if anybody else, we'll tell them to come in a few minutes, so we will need a motion to go into closed session.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Lee, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Bill, in favor? Go in at 5.